All right, so it's such a huge pleasure to be here. Why? Because normally Moritz and me, we are most of the time on marketing or online marketing stages. This time it's about something what is the best in the whole world, about traveling. And the second reason why it's for me personally so great is because I'm from Berlin, and it was actually my first trade fair I ever visited, next to Grüne Woche, whoever knows this. And it's pretty amazing to have so many international guests here in Berlin. As just announced, Moritz and me, we want to show a little bit case study about personalized advertising technology in the travel industry. Yes, unfortunately, Alipio is not here today, but I'm very happy that Moritz could jump in very short notice. So he got to know this 2 days ago. He knows his customer inside out, so he can explain you exactly the same thing as Alipio would have done. Let me introduce you quickly Moritz, because we didn't change the slides. Moritz is originally from Germany, moved then, I think, right about 4 years ago to Brazil. He has a long history in online marketing, worked for Google before, and now is our managing director in Brazil. Okay, and Moritz, I would hand you over the mic to introduce CVC to the crowd, please.
Thank you. For those who don't know CVC, CVC is the largest OTA in the Americas. They have more than 10,000 franchise stores. They have more franchise stores than McDonald's. Last year they sent more than 3 million people on holidays, and they're also they are from the offline. The last years they moved online. They are growing more than 50% year over year, and they already have more than 4.5 million visits monthly on their website. And recently they acquired Submarino Viagens, which is one of the largest travel platforms in LATAM. So pretty big.
Thanks a lot. Let me quickly introduce myself and as well the company I'm working for. My name is, as you know, Lothar Krause. Since 17 years in online marketing, worked for companies before as Xenox, Zalando, eBay, and one of the first employees for Sociomantic. And about Sociomantic, we are full service DSP. This means we can offer campaigns from the full funnel, so from reach campaigns to retargeting campaigns, and we do this quite successfully in more than 70 markets with 22 offices. And with this, we go straight into our topic of the day, and just showing you where this presentation is heading to. At first we will explain everybody a little bit what programmatic is about. Maybe some of you already know, but since this is a travel audience, we thought it's good to give you a general introduction. Afterwards, we're going to talk about successful campaign strategies, something how you define the perfect audience, the placements, which creatives to use, and how to optimize the campaigns to, at the end of the day, have some successful results. First topic, what is programmatic advertising? I don't know if it's for all of you the case, but definitely programmatic advertising is one of the main buzzwords within the last 4 or 5 years we have in the online marketing. Why? Let's take a look back how advertising was done some years ago. So advertising in newspapers, people thought about, okay, who's a typical reader in a newspaper? Or they looked at the content of the newspaper. And afterwards, they thought, okay, maybe it's good to place this and this ad with this and this message to the specific person. But it was never a specific person, right? It was always actually what we call bulk. So you always bought millions of impressions to show this one to the audience, which is, of course, no personalized message at all. On the other way, and by the way, that's the same thing what was happening in the beginning of the internet too. So in the beginning of the internet, you looked at the website, you looked at the content, you maybe looked at the typical audience, and then you placed there your ad. With programmatic advertising, it's totally different. And why it's so different? Because you look specifically at the user. So you can actually track a lot of information, generate a lot of information for every individual person, and then afterwards you can display a specific message to this person, and you can even bid a specific price to use this user. For the travel industry, it would mean you know exactly before how much will be the customer lifetime value for this customer. Let's say not exactly, it's more you calculate it. And the second thing, you already got an idea, is in which travel category is he interested? Is it more like hotels, flights, general travel trips, or things like this, which helps you a lot to personalize the ad. Why is how we called it before, real-time bidding, and now programmatic advertising so successful? I think it's a matter of technology, the things I explained to you before. And the second thing, it's about time. So can you imagine that within 70 milliseconds, a whole process is starting? So this means we get a request to display an ad on a page of a publisher, and we answer on this process, on this bid request, and then even display a specific ad. And this all 3 times faster than the blink of an eye. So this is probably one of the reasons why it's so successful. Afterwards, the user have noticed nothing, and directly afterwards you can see wonderful fitting ads on billions of websites with billions of different placements on publisher sites. Last but not least, I think travel had there a little bit of delay. So for other industries like shopping, for example, mobile and tablets were already highly relevant 3, 4, 5 years ago. For travel, since the booking process is sometimes a little bit more complicated, it just got more important within the last, let's say, 2 to 3 years. And of course, you need to apply a different strategy on every single device. As already indicated, we call programmatic the user-centric channel. And what we want to do within the next minutes, Moritz and me together, is we want to answer the questions: whom do I want to reach? How and where do I reach them? How can I improve? What should I show them? And last but not least, how can I improve? And the first part of this question, specifically about the audience, whom should I reach out? Moritz will answer this one.
Thank you, Lothar. So as Lothar said, the first challenge we had was to define who is the right audience that we should target and show the banners from CVC. And we started with a campaign that was basically using the common data that we would use. So no segmentation, but just looking at the audience, like website behavior and things like that. We then analyzed the results of that campaign, and we analyzed the audience and started to segment the audience and go into rather more detail. So we focused first on the biggest segments of CVC side. So on their main products, flights, hotels, and packages, and created one more segment that would be others, like cruises, rental cars, etc. Then again, we sat with CVC and analyzed the results of that campaign and the audience, and started to split out the audience even more detailed and more granular. So one example, like for flights or packages, we would rather focus on time and look at the time before departure. So we would analyze the results of the campaign, pair it up with the, for example, departure curve, and then create segments and campaigns for the specific time frame. With hotels, obviously, that's not possible. Or it makes just more sense to focus on destinations. Why is that useful? Let's take flights as an example. If you know the time frame before departure, you can, and you have campaigns for every specific segment, you can start to not just tailor the communication with your client, like you would communicate differently with someone who is 9 or 10 weeks before traveling, or 1 week before taking off. Like if you're one week before purchasing your flight ticket, it's now or never, right? because 1 week from now, the person is gone. So you can tailor the communication for that person, and you can also adjust your KPIs. Like, for example, the frequency with which you would like to show the banners to someone who is 1 week away from taking off into holidays is obviously different than for someone who is traveling in 2 months' time. Then that was obviously for people who have visited the website before, so we could analyze their behavior and their data on the website, but we always wanted to grow. Also wanted to grow with CVC. And we basically took the information that we had from our very detailed segmented or detailed segments from the website and applied those on reach campaigns. So we used the data to build statistical twins using more data points than everybody or anybody else could use, and created for each segment prospecting and reach campaigns to grow their audience. And then that we had the right audience, we also had to focus on where to target.
Thanks a lot, Moritz. Okay, then we looked into which placements are there. I already mentioned to you earlier that this is a fully automated process, all happening within 70 milliseconds, and that we get constantly worldwide shooting the bidding process to our servers to bid on the specific placement. And actually, yeah. How at the end of the day and where can we reach them? And we just have two very simple examples here, okay? The first one is a typical banner size. You probably all know about this one. It's a 720 times 120 banner, and it can display on various websites. Just to mention, Flash is dead. Nobody's using any more Flash. Or Flash technology, because this is not working on any iPhone or mobile phone. Yeah, this is one typical example. Moritz will dive a little bit deeper into the specific creative strategy we had with CVC. And the second one, and this is something for us which is kind of the new kid on the block, or it's not that new anymore. Let's say it's like 3-4 years old, but it's constantly growing. It's that publishers offer more native advertising ad spaces on the website. And yeah, I'm not capable to understand Portuguese, but obviously it looks not like a typical ad. It's more that the publisher decides in which format, with picture, do you actually display the ad on your website, which even doesn't look like a specific ad. Okay? And there are tons of other formats. I may have an example later. And with this, Moritz will explain you a little bit more detailed which creatives we use during this campaign with CVC.
Thank you. Yeah, so the creative part, as I said before, we were focusing on people that have already visited the website, but also we wanted to grow the website with new visitors. For those new visitors that haven't shown any interest into a specific destination or a specific flight, we would rather show static banners that would focus on an event like Carnival in Brazil, pretty big, or specific destinations like Aruba, Las Vegas, etc. With those that have visited a specific destination, hotel or flight, we would then show exactly the product that the person has visited and shown interest. Plus, we would recommend some additional products that our engine would tell us is relevant for the user. What is pretty cool in like that recommendation or showing those personalized dynamic banners is that in the travel industry, we have a challenge that prices are changing very quickly. So for the same destination, you would have like many different prices along a day for the same flight. And with a common product feed, you wouldn't be able to always show the right price for the flight to the user, which is a pretty bad user experience when you see the price or a certain price in the banner, and then you come to the landing page and the price is completely different. guess most of you know it. So what Sociomantic has done is we have created a stream technology, which is basically taking the information from the data layer of the website and always showing the current and exact price to the user, which is improving obviously a lot, one, the user experience, but also the conversion on the website. We did also some reach and co-marketing campaigns for CVC that were extraordinarily interesting. We got, for example, they got challenged by the Mexican government that wanted to foster tourism from Brazil in Mexico. And they passed a challenge to us and asked us what we could do. So we sat again with the team from CVC and analyzed what kind of user on their website might be interested in traveling to Mexico. And we use those information to show those people banners with, like here you would have Las Vegas, Barbados, or Portugal, but we also did it for Walt Disney, for instance, and as I said, Mexico. And you would try to convince those people or introduce them into the opportunity to travel to Mexico.
Thank you, Moritz. And with this, actually, you got an idea how we set up the campaign. You already got an idea which different kind of campaigns we were running. But honestly, an idea or a setup can be very good, but the real works always begins afterwards, okay? And that's about the optimization. And I try now to answer quite broad. How can I improve with my campaign results? Okay, we are a strong believer of something we internally call collaborative testing and learning. And what does this mean? If you look at a specific campaign, of course it will not have in the beginning the best results because there are multiple thousand millions of different options in terms of the optimization strategies, frequency caps, exposures and all these things, how you can set up a specific campaign for a specific user group. So how should you start this process? And this actually not only for display advertising. This you could use this as well for other online marketing channels. First thing, you should establish the goals. Okay, set the right goals. I have some comments on my next slides about this one. Then you begin your test after everything is set up right, and you closely monitor your test. Okay, and that's always a tricky part because on the one part, if the campaign is not going well, you have to adjust it. On the other part, you have to be very patient, right? Because especially if you look into performance campaigns where you might have some late conversions after 30 days or something like this, you need time to see the real results. Okay, and this is that after 30, 45 days, you can evaluate your performance and see what to adapt. Again, on every single campaign, it can be differently. Something about the right measurements, because this is really something which I think is one of the most important things. You have so many online marketing channels, but if the measurement is wrong, just the whole online marketing is wrong, right? So what should you do there? Set different KPIs. Of course, for performance campaigns, set performance KPIs. Something like a cost per order, a CPO, return on investment, whatever you get from your business intelligence. Second thing, look at soft KPIs. Soft KPIs or media KPIs. What do you mean with this one? Again, if we run this example with display advertising. Look at the bounce rate from a specific campaign. Look how much time somebody spent on the website, how many page impressions did he generated, and things like this. And there are other campaign objectives, especially in an area where branding and performance are going hand in hand, which is happening more and more in online marketing. Please look as well into things, what should be the optimal exposure, how often do you want to reach out to a specific person, and there are tons of other examples like this. If you have done this, take into account especially attribution to work with an independent professional attribution partner. That's the first thing, and never only look at the last click. Okay, I remember when I was running the online marketing for Zalando the first days when we changed from a last click model to a customer journey model. The whole total budget allocation totally changed, and you have to give assisting clicks as well a credit. One of my most favorite topics, by the way. And last but not least, there are let's say, some solutions about cross-device tracking already at the market. They are not perfect, but even a not perfect solution is better than no solution. So look into cross-device. Which other devices helped that somebody could generate a sale afterwards? Okay. So this is the most crowded slide I have. And I will not go point by point through everything here. It's more or less a summary of the things what I said before. And by the way, if anybody is interested, just drop me an email and you get the presentation, even though I'm on a photo. So what we basically summarized is, or what I tried to summarize is, whom do I want to reach? Answering the questions, what business model do you have, how can you leverage your first party data, okay? So especially what Moritz explained with departure dates and special destination dates, look at this one. And use co-marketing opportunities. This was for CVC such a successful campaign, or many successful campaigns, and they even didn't have to pay the budget for this, okay? Then how and where do I reach them? Adjust your messaging and the pricing. In online marketing, this is possible. So please do so, and do it differently per device. Okay? What should I show them? Moritz gave a great overview about the creative strategy from CVC. And we could talk for ages about different things like overlay, static banners, dynamic banners, native ads. There is a whole variety of things you could do. And most important, how can I improve? Set the right goals, work with an independent attribution model, look at other KPIs, and test. The results, and I'm happy to hand back to Moritz.
Yeah. On the results, we can see pretty cool what Lothar just explained, because obviously, like as Lothar said, it's a journey from the customer. So if the government from Mexico starts to show, or if we start to show banners, for example, for travels to Cancun for the Mexican government, most of the people they won't buy immediately. Obviously, like you wouldn't book a flight to Cancun like this tomorrow, even if you would love to. So it's a journey. You get introduced to Mexico. You get introduced to a country where you have different travel destinations, where you have different kinds of visits, and after getting introduced and getting to know all the different opportunities that you have in Mexico, then you start to search for the flight to Mexico, or a package or a hotel, and then you have a departure curve. You start researching, you get interested, you nail down the travel date, and when you go and where you go, and then at some point you will buy. So the main objective of the campaign was to get people introduced. So 10,000 new users that we know from the data that we have from the website that have never ever looked at Mexico on CVC site. So 10,000 new leads for Mexico. This is huge. And 80% of those people, as Lothar said, you need some KPIs for such a campaign, but it needs to be the right KPI. So we looked at what was the quality of the traffic, like 80% new users. That's huge. What is the bounce rate? What is the engagement of those people on the website? Like, how many pages do they visit? Do they just visit the site about Mexico and then bounce, or do they engage with the website and stay for longer? What is the time that they stay on the site? We had almost 130 sales for a company of like CVC coming from offline and starting to engage with online. That's huge as well. And you have not just the performance results, but also media results. Like in the banner is not just Mexico and Cancun. It's also the logo of CVC, and people click on the logo. So next time those people would research for holidays or for a flight, CVC would be on top of mind. And in addition to that, also, like as those visitors are very qualified, CVC basically just boosts their website traffic with very qualified and very engaged leads. So in total, it was a tremendous success.
Okay, please let me summarize as well the main results from my point of view and put this a little bit more into a general perspective. As you saw, in online marketing, especially with programmatic advertising, there are tons of successful ways how to define the specific audiences for retargeting, but as well for reach, for engagement, for every campaign goal you actually have. Second thing, don't run standard campaigns where you just buy media and drop them the standard message. Use an individual approach wherever it is possible, wherever you collected enough information. And we think at the end, this can be, we called it win-win-win. The traveler gets to see a destination, maybe he even doesn't know which fits to him. The destination, yes, of course, he can pay a little bit of the budget there, but he will get new visitors for his destinations. And for the OTA or the travel agency, they actually get brand new traffic to the website, which will convert now or later. Okay, and last but not least, we are happy then as well, right? So this is a point where we always open, or where we're happy to answer any Q&A. Before we start with this one, or if you have any Q&As, this is a public case study, okay? So you can see it on our website, and you can read the details if you didn't make any photos or things like this. If you have, after the presentation, after the Q&A, any more questions, feel free to talk to Moritz and me, or some of our colleagues, which are there in the back. We are very happy to answer your questions individually, okay? Are there any questions? Happens always in a conference like this. So thanks a lot for your attention and have a great trade fair.